Welcome back to Dinar for Veterans, the channel built for those who serve this country and who are now watching one of the most talked about financial stories in the investment community. If you have been following the Iraqi dinar for any length of time, you already know that this space moves fast, emotions run high, and the line between a real development and a recycled rumor can be very thin. That is exactly why this report matters today, and that is exactly why we are going to slow it down, break it apart, and give you the kind of clear, grounded analysis you deserve. A new claim is spreading across the dinar community right now, and it is moving faster than almost anything we have seen in recent memory. The story states that 9 major United States banks have quietly activated Iraqi dinar screens inside their internal banking systems. For long-time holders, that phrase alone is enough to stop a conversation cold. For veterans who have been patient, disciplined, and watching this space for years, it raises a very important question. Is this the kind of internal banking movement that signals something real is building, or is this another round of hopeful speculation that needs to be handled with care? Today we are going to answer that question as honestly and thoroughly as we can. Let us start with the core of the claim. The report says that dinar screens have gone live inside the systems of 9 U.S. banks. In the world of banking, the phrase live screens refers to a currency appearing in the internal software tools that bank staff, trading desks, risk teams, and compliance departments use behind the scenes. This is not the same as a customer walking into a branch and exchanging notes. This is not a public counter, a public rate, or a public announcement. This is an internal layer of the banking system that most customers never see and most people outside the industry never think about. That distinction is critical, and it is the part of this story that gets lost the fastest when the excitement takes over. A screen can be updated, tested, loaded, or reviewed for many reasons. Banks run software upgrades constantly. They conduct internal compliance checks. They prepare for future products. They test systems months or even years before those systems ever become available to the public. So when someone says a dinar screen is live inside a bank, that can mean a lot of different things. It can mean the currency is being recognized inside the system. It can mean the bank is testing a future setup. It can mean a routine update touched that data. Or in the most optimistic reading, it can mean that something larger is being quietly prepared. None of those possibilities cancel each other out, and none of them should be treated as the final word without more evidence to support them. Now, for the veterans and long-time holders watching this channel, the number attached to this claim matters just as much as the claim itself. 9 banks is not a small, isolated detail. When people in this community hear 9 banks, they do not picture one branch making a routine technical change. They picture a coordinated pattern. They imagine compliance teams, software architects, banking executives, and currency specialists all working at the same time across 9 separate institutions. That picture suggests structure. It suggests planning. It suggests that something may be building in the background that is bigger than a single update. That is why the number 9 is one of the most powerful parts of this story. Whether it turns out to be accurate, partially accurate, or misunderstood, it gives the claim a sense of scale that fuels the conversation. The dinar community has a long memory. Veterans in this space have followed banking updates, policy changes, currency reform discussions, and community reports for years. They have seen claims rise and fall. They have watched calendars move forward without the events people expected. That history shapes how people respond to a report like this one. Some holders hear it and feel a surge of fresh hope, because it matches the pattern they have been watching for. Others hear it and immediately reach for caution because they remember how many previous claims felt just as convincing in the moment. Both of those responses are completely understandable, and both deserve respect. But the smartest response is the one that sits between those two extremes. Stay alert without assuming. Stay hopeful without overreacting. Stay engaged without losing your judgment. One of the most important things to understand about how banks actually work is that major financial changes do not happen in one dramatic public moment. They happen in layers. They happen in steps. They happen behind closed doors over extended periods of time. If a currency is genuinely being prepared for a broader role inside U.S. banking infrastructure, the public would likely see nothing until the very end of a long internal process. Staff would need training. Compliance frameworks would need to be satisfied. Security protocols would need to be implemented. Rate systems would need to be verified. Documentation procedures would need to be established. Legal reviews would need to be completed. Customer verification systems would need to be ready. All of that happens before anyone walks through a door and asks to exchange a single note. So when people hear that screens may be active inside bank systems, the appropriate response is not to assume the finish line is visible. The appropriate response is to recognize that if this is real, it likely represents one step in a much longer internal process. This point is especially important for veterans who understand how large institutions operate. Anyone who has worked inside a military organization or a government structure knows that large systems do not change overnight. They prepare in advance. They test before they execute. They build capability before they announce it. If the banking world is quietly doing something in the background related to the Iraqi dinar, it would look exactly like this: quiet, internal, unconfirmed, layered. That does not make the claim proven, but it does make the framework behind the claim believable enough to pay attention to. There is also a broader economic story running underneath this claim, and that story is what gives the Iraqi dinar its long-term staying power in the minds of serious holders. Iraq has been actively modernizing its banking system. The country has been working to strengthen financial controls, reduce corruption, expand digital payment infrastructure, and increase its appeal to foreign investors. The International Monetary Fund and the World Bank have both been engaged with Iraq's economic reform agenda. Oil revenues continue to provide a strong fiscal foundation, and Iraq's relationships with regional and global financial partners have been evolving in ways that matter to currency valuation. For many in this community, those developments are the real story underneath every banking rumor. They believe the currency is tied to a national recovery that is still unfolding, and that belief is what keeps them watching even when individual claims turn out to be overstated. That said, economic reform does not automatically produce a dramatic currency revaluation event. That is a point worth stating clearly. Countries can reform their financial systems, attract investment, and improve governance without their currency suddenly jumping in value in a way that creates the windfall many holders are anticipating. The reform story is real, and it matters, but it is a separate conversation from whether a specific exchange event is imminent. Holding both of those truths at the same time is part of what separates disciplined, informed holders from people who are simply chasing the next headline. Now we need to talk about something that always appears when a story like this gains momentum, and that is the threat of fraud. This is not a minor concern. It is one of the most serious risks in the dinar space, and it affects veterans in particular, because the dinar community has a significant veteran population that scammers actively target. Whenever a report about banking readiness starts spreading, the fraud attempts that follow are predictable. They take the form of private groups promising early access. They come as messages from strangers claiming to have inside contacts at major banks. They appear as offers to exchange at special rates before anything goes public. They show up as requests for personal documents, identification, or upfront payments in exchange for placement on an exclusive list. Every single one of those approaches is a scam. A legitimate banking event would follow legitimate banking procedures. It would not require a social media message to function. It would not need a stranger's help to reach you. It would not involve secrets, shortcuts, or payments to unknown individuals. If you or someone you know is approached with any of those offers, treat it as a fraud attempt immediately and do not engage further. We also want to address the psychological weight that a story like this carries for people who have been waiting a long time. Long-term holders do not just hold a currency. They carry years of expectation. They carry the memory of previous claims that did not materialize. They carry the quiet frustration of watching time pass without a clear resolution. When a fresh report appears and it sounds as specific and structured as this one, it does not just land as new information. It lands on top of everything that came before it. It can feel like confirmation. It can feel like a sign that the long wait is finally shifting. That emotional weight is real, and it deserves to be acknowledged rather than dismissed. But it is also the exact reason why discipline matters most in moments like this. Emotional pressure can push people toward fast decisions. It can make a rumor feel like a fact. It can make hope feel like certainty. And in a financial story that is still unconfirmed, that is a dangerous place to be. The right posture for holders right now is one that veterans already understand well. Stay mission ready without assuming the mission has already launched. Preparation is never wasted. Organization is never wasted. Staying current on credible information is never wasted. But assuming an outcome before it is confirmed is a risk that no amount of excitement can justify. If the claim about 9 banks turns out to be grounded in real internal activity, then the facts will continue to develop and more will become clear. If it turns out to be misunderstood or overstated, then the people who stayed grounded will be the ones who protected themselves from unnecessary decisions. Here is where things stand right now. The claim that 9 major U.S. banks have quietly activated Iraqi dinar screens inside their internal systems is generating significant attention across the dinar community because it carries the weight of scale, specificity, and timing all at once. It touches on the deeper belief that the banking world may be quietly preparing for something related to the Iraqi currency. It connects to a broader economic reform narrative that has real substance behind it. And it has arrived at a moment when many holders are actively looking for signs that the conversation is moving in a meaningful direction. For all of those reasons, it deserves serious attention and careful analysis rather than either blind excitement or immediate dismissal. What it does not deserve is to be treated as confirmed fact before evidence supports that conclusion. A screen inside a bank system is not a public exchange counter. It is not a confirmed rate. It is not an official announcement. It is not a guarantee of any outcome. It is one piece of a story that is still developing, and the wisest response is to keep watching with clear eyes and a steady mind. To every veteran holding dinar and watching this channel, your patience is not weakness. Your discipline is not doubt. Your willingness to stay informed without being swept away by every wave of excitement is exactly the kind of strength that protects you in a space like this. We will keep watching this story, keep breaking it down with honesty, and keep reporting in a way that respects your intelligence and your investment. Stay organized, stay alert for fraud, and do not let the noise drown out your judgment. The next credible update in this story will matter far more than the hype surrounding it. And when it comes, we will be right here to cover it for you.